Discover the art of adventure in Cedar City and Bryan Head, Utah. Here you can discover Southern Utah's first artists at the Parowan Gap Petroglyphs, or carve a fresh trail at Bryan Head Ski Resort. Paint the town red perusing Cedar City's unique shops, museums, and savory bites. Marvel at nature's masterpieces at nearby Zion, Bryce, and Kolob Canyons, and be mesmerized by the endless starry nights at Cedar Breaks National Monument. Your inspired adventure awaits. Plan your trip today at visitcedarcity.com.
Coming up on episode 340 of Wheel Bearings, you got the Toyota Tacoma TRD Off-Road, the Range Rover plug-in hybrid, Ford Maverick Tremor, the end of the Apple car, the Dodge Charger Daytona, the Ford Supervan sets a Bathurst record, charging Ford EVs at Superchargers, Tesla total solar eclipse events at Ford Bronco Off-Rodeo in Texas, Honda's plug-in hybrid fuel cell CRV, and more. All that coming up next. This is episode 340 of the Wheel Bearings podcast. I am Sam Abul-Samad from Guidehouse Insights.
And I am Nicole Wakeman from The Road Reflected.
And I am Roberto Baldwin from SAE International.
And fortunately for all of you, you don't have to listen to our long rants about corporate IT security.
Oh,
that was
did not record.
Yeah. Well, mine was more like I was angry at Dropbox and angry. But there's also,
some anger this Saturday morning.
I have some anger with Dropbox right now. Whatever you do, do not join your team, your organization's team, if you have a personal Dropbox account, because it erases and just eliminates your personal account and shoves it all into your corporate account. Yay!
Don't get him started.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Sam, go to the next thing. Quick.
All right. What have you been driving, Nicole?
I have been driving the 2023 Ford Maverick.
Are you sure? Because it says Ford Maverick here.
I think it says Ford Maverick.
Actually, that's probably closer.
Okay, you know what? Seriously, I've mistyped everything I've typed for the last 48 hours because I got a new keyboard. It's going to take me 15
Oh, it's going to take a good 10 years to get that.
Just enough off from the old one that my...
All your muscle memory has been forgotten.
All my muscle, and now the arrow keys don't do the arrow key thing, so I also have to figure out what I've done.
I've been mistyping things for 20 years.
Oh, now it says Mavrock. Wait, ICK. There we go. I'm driving
a professional writer, and I don't know how to type correctly.
Yeah, that's where I am right now. It's like a mess. Like everything's going to take me twice as long. So I have the 2023 Ford Maverick, which I actually really like the Maverick. I mean, this is a compact pickup truck. It's not a gigantic pickup truck with outrageous amounts of capability and all the crazy in the world, but I like that this is actually something that you can manage. Like it's a manageable pickup truck for a change. And I have it with the Tremor, which I guess they're going to say is a package, the Tremor Off-Road package, which makes it a little bit more capable, but I feel like it's important to note it's a little bit more capable. You're not suddenly getting yourself a true off-road truck. It's sort of like off-road light. And it is a package. I think it's just available on the XLT and I believe the Lariat, I think were the two that they said it was on. Yeah. And what this adds to it, it's like just about $3,000 for the package. You get an extra about an inch suspension lift, locking your diff. You get something called, I love this, and this isn't exclusive to this, the trail control. Have you guys played around with this at some point?
It's kind of like cruise control for off-roading.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly how I would describe it. So cruise control on the road, you set the speed, it just kind of keeps you there. You just have to worry about steering, take some of the toughness out of driving. On a trail control, same idea, but at really, really, really super low speeds, like 1, 2, 3, 4 miles an hour. Like you can set it. But it does the same thing. If you're on something that's a little bit more tricky or you're a little bit nervous, you can let it keep the speed and you're just steering the truck, which is kind of nice. I like that. So I like that this is an off-road light truck because I think it's a thing where a lot of the times you're either getting a truck, or any vehicle. This is for the pavement, or this is so that you can climb straight up the side of a rock face. This is the middle, this lets you have some capability. It makes it a little bit less likely to get stuck if you happen to drive through muddy, like 2-track or something. If you're got snow, it gives you a little extra clearance for snow. I like the sort of off-road light vehicles. I think that's a nice little segment to have. I think it's nice to have that package for $3,000. It's not cheap, but it's not outrageous considering what you're getting. And the truck itself, this only starts at $23,000. It's not an outrageously expensive truck. That's the base, cheapest version of the Maverick that you can get. This one, all in, is $32,500. You guys want to take a guess at destination and delivery?
$1,295.
$1,296.
Sam wins, $1,495.
Good job, Sam.
So good job, Sam. Go, Sam. What it's adding on there, you're paying, $3,000 just for the off-road package. And there's like things that are like $500 or $600 a pop. There's Copilot 360. There's a spray-in bed liner, which honestly, if you're going to have stuff you're going to be tossing in the bed, it's great to have the bed liner because it keeps your bed from getting all scratched and gross. There's splash guards on there, and there's equipment group, which it doesn't detail out. I just realized equipment group 300A, which is $2,200. So there's some extra little bells and whistles on here. You could definitely get this for cheaper if you wanted to. But I mean, it gives you good capability. It's a small truck though. So if you're really looking at serious towing, serious payload, you're going to be seriously disappointed. Up to 4,000 pounds for towing, up to 1,500 pounds in its bed. It's a very short bed. The Tremor actually takes those numbers down. It can do 2,000 pounds because you can't there's a trailer hitch that's optional that like takes you up to that 4,000 pound maximum. They don't offer it on the Tremor package Maverick, so you can't get it on this. And the payload's a little bit smaller. It's 1,200. But I think this is like a starter truck, like truck light. Like I kind of think
this is, we've said this before, this is really all the truck that most people actually need.
Yep.
Exactly.
It's the best truck for like 85% of the population.
Right?
Yes.
Most people don't need even an F-150. That's probably got way more payload, way more towing, way more everything than most people are using. Like you see the guy who brings the 2 trash bags to the dump on Saturday with I think you've overpurchased. You could put those
I've done that in an X5. I've gone to the dump in an X5. So
the Tremor will easily handle those 2 bags of trash. It'll easily handle 20 bags of mulch.
Yes. So much mulch. And spring is coming, so they say, because it's March now. So I like the Maverick. I think it's a good little truck. Front wheel drive, all wheel drive are both available. And there's a hybrid or a gas engine. The gas is 250 horsepower, 277 pound-feet. It's just fine. It easily gets this truck up to speed. It has no trouble. It's not super aggressive on the acceleration front, but it is more than good enough. Like it's really comfortable, relatively quiet, and I like compact trucks. I always have, because I feel like you said, Sam, most people don't need a full-size truck. Most people never use the capability that comes with that F-150. But you have to deal with the negatives, which are how big it is, how awkward it is in parking lots. Like there's downsides to having a vehicle that big. You get rid of some of them when you go with a compact truck. Suddenly it's just driving. Gosh, I don't know, is it longer than the average full-size SUV at this point? I don't think it is. Like it doesn't feel cumbersome at all, but technically you're driving a truck. So I'm a big fan of the Maverick. I genuinely like, and I love that one of my favorite features, it's a silly feature. So in the center console, like almost under the dashboard, that far forward, there's a piece of plastic that it sort of divides things up into storage. You can entirely just grab that and take it out. So when you spill stuff or you need to clean it, it's super easy to clean. I love it that if you fumble your coffee, if you get cookie crumbs everywhere, whatever it is, you can actually clean your truck instead of like trying to somehow figure out how you're going to get stuff off of tiny little nooks and crannies. I love that just comes out. You can wash it off and put it right back in. I think that's neat.
And, the back seat's big enough to hold a couple of adults or a couple of decent sized dogs.
Yes.
No problem at all.
It is roomy enough that it doesn't feel, even though compact isn't the word for this, it's a compact truck. Don't think of it as squished. It's not. Like it's a very usable rear seat that you can easily fit 2 adults back there. It's not, you're not going to feel squished. Even with 3, you're not going to feel overly squished. It's a surprisingly roomy little truck. I'm a Maverick fan. I was the minute I drove, and I thought it's a great little truck. It's
fantastic.
Fantabulous. Yeah. Yes.
Fantastic.
My My neighbors still love theirs, that they got, very early build one. And they have the hybrid. They got the hybrid XL
Okay.
for $20,000, the base model with the Steelies.
Right.
And at that point, it didn't even offer cruise control on that base model. And they added an aftermarket cruise control for $300, but they get 40 miles per gallon with that thing. They love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
You won't get 40 with the 2-liter turbo. And unfortunately, for some reason, Ford still has not seen fit to offer the all-wheel drive and hybrid combination on the Maverick. You can get it on the Escape, but not on the Maverick.
I would, man, that's a winning combination right there. All-wheel drive.
Can you not get the all-wheel drive is only, I missed that.
It's only gas. Yeah.
Yep.
Front-wheel drive if you want hybrid.
Oh, that's a stinker. Well, that would mean.
But I dragged it like a couple 1,000 pounds of rocks once. I just filled the back with rocks of a Maverick, and I drove it home. And I had to do this twice because we needed a lot of rocks. I think that's the thing you end up buying as a homeowner is just rocks. And the first time I drove home, I'm like, this is fine. The second time, I'm like, oh, there's a button for when you're gas. I turned on the little cargo button. I'm like, I guess this is a little better. It was fine both ways, no problem.
Cool. All right, Robbie, what'd you have?
I drove the hold on, let me make sure this is the right year. Let me check my Monroney like super quick because I wrote it was this year, but I'm gonna double check that. I drove a 2023, not a 2024, which I wrote down. I drove a 2023 Range Rover PHEV, the Range Rover plug-in hybrid. So you get all the fancy of a Range Rover plus 51 miles of EV only range.
That's a lot of miles.
It is a lot of miles.
Yeah.
It is. Okay. So how it does this is that it has a pretty large battery. As far as PHEVs go. So it has a 38.2 kilowatt hour battery, of which 31.8 of it is available. So that's a lot. That's a really big. That's quite the battery for a PHEV. And what's interesting is that you can charge it at home. Plug it into my little wall box, charge it overnight, 100%, blah, blah, blah. But this vehicle also has support for DC fast charging, up to 50 kilowatts. Yeah. So
the second one I know of with that. The Outlander is the only other one I know of that does that.
Yeah. So I could, so you pull, you take the, typically you just have the one little round, the level 2 charging port, but it has the little, you pull the little thing out, boom, DC fast charging support, CCS. Wow. So I haven't typically we're recording a little early this week, and typically Saturdays are the days I test cars. I do the testy tests. So I haven't taken it to a DC fast charger yet. I'm sure it'll be fine. I don't know what the takeaway would be. It was like, it charged faster. Good job, Robbie. But it charges up to 50 kilowatts. Range Rover says you can go to 40 minutes. You'll hit up to 80%. 5 hours with a 7 kilowatt hour wall box, you get 100% on this thing, which it's fine. I have driven it around in EV mode. There's a weird thing where you start the car and you can't just put it into EV mode. You have to drive it a little bit, then it'll go into EV mode or EV only mode. But you'll start the car and hybrid mode is default, and you can tell the engine is not on. But I can't just put it in direct EV mode.
Oh, so it's not starting the engine at first. It's letting you drive electrically, but in hybrid mode.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just like, okay, sure, whatever. So it's essentially in electric mode, but British. I can't just put it in electric mode.
Just be happy it works at all.
Yeah. So it does work. It's so comfortable and squishy that it doesn't feel like it should be able to do all the off-roady bits that it can do, because it is, it's a Range Rover. That's sort of its jam. It has a lot of buttons and settings there's a whole button for waiting. There's, you can see where you're driving when you're off-road, it has those front-facing cameras. Mm-hmm. It's got all the fancy bits for off-roading, but then you're inside a very fancy, squishy vehicle. And it has, what's really nice is it has all-wheel steering, which is standard. So it's a 3-row SUV. The second row is very fancy still. Third row, But yeah, it's I have to do a lot of U-turns where I live for certain things sometimes. Um, Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, no problem. Better, it's like U-turn. It's like doing U-turns in my BRZ. That's what it's like. Big giant SUV. I'm like, look at this. Woo!
Nice.
If you have a big vehicle, I think I've said this before, especially a large luxury vehicle, you need all-wheel drive or all-wheel steering. That's all there is to it. Just do that. It's luxury. You're asking people to pay a lot of money. Give them something fancy so they can get around.
Yeah, I mean, if you're charging people $100,000 and up, for a vehicle, just go ahead and put the all-wheel steering on there.
Put the all-wheel steering in. Put it in. They'll be happier. It makes the vehicle feel a lot smaller than it is. It's easier to park. It's easier to pull out of parking spots. It's easier to do U-turns. It's all around. It just makes driving just so much nicer in something that is already nice, but also, you got to get around. The world's a tight place.
Yep.
There's a lot of people out there in other cars. Being nimble is pretty great. So the version I had, it was the SE SWB, not SWV, with the Sisters with Voices, a really great R&B band from the 90s. This is the SWB, so just a reminder. It has a
as in short wheelbase.
Yep. It has the 3-liter turbo 6-cylinder engine, plug-in hybrid. It has 434 horsepower. Sure. 457 pound-feet of torque, which, all those things. Can you go fast? Yeah. Is it mostly if I needed to climb up a mountain but still be drinking tea? If I need to drink Earl Grey while driving in the apocalypse, this is the car to get. 8-speed automatic transmission with some paddle shifters. Sure, why not? For all the intense, there's nothing intense about this vehicle, to be honest. You just drive, you're like, oh, this is really nice. Like that. And when you need to go fast,
it just coddles you wherever you need to go.
It does. It coddles you everywhere you need to go. If you need to go to the store, great. If you need to go to the the golf course, I think that's a thing people do, great. If you need to go traversing up a mountain in order to escape a lava flow, sure, it'll do that too. Whatever you want to do,
lava flow, as one often needs to. I mean,
as one often needs to.
Depending on where you live, it might be true.
Yeah, it's got both.
You live in Iceland, or on the Big Island, Hawaii.
Yeah, if you live in the Big Island, I look at homes on the Big Island a lot, and the ones that are under 300,000, typically in the lava zone. So it's got things like hill launch assist, low traction launch. It has air suspension, so things just when you get out, it lowers itself, raises itself. 21-inch alloy wheels. You could probably be fine with the whatever smaller, but you do get a full-size spare, which is nice.
Of course, you don't actually want to go climbing up that mountain or trying to escape that lava flow with the 21s, because
I think
those slim little tires, they're not going to do real well on that sharp rock.
I'm gonna cut it.
The small tire, the small tires. Get smaller tires or smaller wheels, bigger tires. It's 13.1-inch touchscreen. JLR has this very unique touchscreen infotainment system where when you do things, it fades in and out, and so you're never quite sure if is this latency or not. And it's been like this for 8 years, 7 years. It's been like this for a while, and it does everything. But everything you tell me to do is she's so. It's like a little. And what's interesting and something I really like is that you have physical controls for the climate. It's a little dial, and it's a little dynamic display on the dial. So if it's just at regular, it's hot and cold, 70 degrees, 60 degrees, whatever. But if you push it, now it controls your seat. So now you can I want a ventilated seat or I want a heated seat. But if you push it and turn it, it does the same thing. It's the exact same. Sort of in, and it fades in, fades
there's
out.
Your wheel bearings,
fades back in
for this week.
It fades out and fades back in, and by the time it does that, I've already set it to 2 on the heated seat. So it fades in, fades out, and it's all whoop, boom, two, and then it has to catch up to me because I'm driving. I don't have time for fanciness.
Focus on the whole driving thing.
I don't have time for any sort of Harry Potter shenanigans. I just want things to happen. Yeah. So the MSRP on this thing is $110,000. The version I drove, $128,475. Not cheap. Again, it gets 51 miles per. It gets 51 miles of EV only range. I haven't had a chance to test that thoroughly, but it does seem like that's pretty much on par with what. And when I did it to 100%, it was like, you have 61 miles of range. I'm like, wait, what? And the fact that I can't like turn it on when I stop, yeah. So it's kind of it's going to be tough to figure that out exactly, but just based on my experience, I don't see why it wouldn't hit 51 miles, to be honest. Once you deplete all of that delicious electricity, then you're down to 21 miles per gallon, which for a vehicle this size with
It's not bad.
But yeah, with the 6 cylinders in 21, you're like, oh, that's pretty good.
It's still operating as a hybrid at that point, so that's probably why you're getting 20, 21.
Yeah. So it's it does have one of the in the center console where you can put things in. It has the little cooler.
Mm-hmm.
I think
that.
I would get the Ford Maverick over this just because that's who I am. But I would want that little cooler.
The Ford Maverick with your aftermarket accessories.
With the little cooler.
For $128,000, you could buy a Maverick and take it somewhere and have somebody custom build a cooler from scratch and install it in there, and still have probably $100,000 left over.
Mm-hmm.
If the JC Whitney catalog was still around, I could probably get one of those for like $80. For all the old school car nerds, JC Whitney they had a little black and white like catalog. I don't even know where we got them. I guess at the store for like a nickel. I don't remember where we got the JC Whitney catalog. It just appeared everywhere.
Did
it come in the mail? Where did we all had them?
Yeah.
I thought it came in the mail.
Maybe it must have come in the mail.
There's still at jcwhitney.com.
Oh, well, you could buy things for your car that I think like 80% of it probably wasn't safe. It was like really cheap stuff. Like some of it was snake oil, but a lot of it probably wasn't safe.
Most of it was snake oil.
Most of it was snake oil. It's like Harbor Freight. Like I love Harbor Freight, but I'm not buying tools from Harbor Freight. I buy like Craftsman or Snap-on.
What do you buy at Harbor Freight?
You can buy sandpaper. You can buy like straps. Straps are pretty easy to like just build. What is it? Zip ties. You can buy a lot of zip ties there. But you definitely don't want to buy your jack stands from. I wouldn't buy a jack stand. I went like 2 years ago or so.
Anything that has to like support weight, or break.
Anything that could be the difference between death, don't get it there.
Yes.
Like you can buy sprayers for like car painting. Like a lot of like hobbyists and like cosplay people and people who do props, they buy the car spray. The air sprayers there for paint. Yeah. The paint sprayers, because they're really inexpensive and they actually work pretty well. So there's a lot of things you can buy there, but I wouldn't buy like a socket set because I don't want the socket to snap and then my hand goes smashing into the side of an engine block, which is, I've had that happen before. It's not good. I have so many scars on my hands from crap tools. Even though my dad would buy me good tools, and then something would happen, I go, I'm still gonna go buy it. I need to go buy this thing, and I would buy a crap tool as a 16-year-old idiot. And then they would immediately break, and I'd always have like these scars, knuckles. I
still have tools here that are almost as old as I am. At a minimum, they're at least 40, 45 years old that are still, you can see that their age, but they work as well as they originally did. None of those were bought from either JC Whitney or Harbor Freight.
Just invest in good tools.
Yes.
Craftsman, if you're rich, Snap-on. Snap-on's really expensive, but there's a reason why they drive around a truck.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why people that use tools to earn their living buy those tools.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah.
The tools that are the oldest in our garage.
So that's anyway. So the Range Rover.
I don't even know where they came from. Like they don't even have labels on them anymore.
Yeah, see those. Yeah, good quality tool. Buy quality tools. It's gonna cost a little more, but it's gonna work for you in the long run. Like a PHEV, like a Range Rover PHEV. If you can afford the $128,000 Range Rover PHEV, go get some Snap-on tools. I don't know when you're gonna work on your Range Rover. You're probably not the person who fixes their car if you're buying this vehicle, but maybe you have a second cool car. Anyway, Range Rover PHEV, 51 miles. That's great. More than most people drive in the average daily drive is like 37 miles for humans in this country. I don't know how far dogs and cats drive. You'd have to ask them. I dig this car. I drove the regular gas version when it came out. I was really excited about the PHEV. I'm very excited about the electric one, just based on how well the PHEV performs. So there you go.
Yeah.
So just as a follow-up, jcwhitney.com appears to now be, a content site. There's all kinds of articles and stuff on here. And there is a link at the top of the page that says Shop JC Whitney, which redirects you to carparts.com. So carparts.com apparently bought the JC Whitney brand. And they just sell, aftermarket stuff.
I want to write something for JC Whitney now. Who do I talk to about that?
I don't know.
These are all the tools. These are all the scars. I should just have pictures of the scars in my hand from things that I bought from JC Whitney. Oh, they got
that would fit right in probably the garage tab or the culture tab.
If you scroll down, it says catalog throwback, and it has all the insane, stupid things. It has a bunch of things.
There you go.
Hollywood mufflers for all your cars.
The Ocean Liner blast horn.
Ocean Liner
the white wall kit.
The in-car coffee maker. Oh yeah. Oh, there's a whole gallery. Anyway, go to jcwhitney.com and
scroll to the bottom of the page.
You're gonna have some good times.
All right. Smartphones have gotten way more expensive over the past decade, and all it takes is one impact on a hard floor to make you wish you had spent a few bucks to put a case on it. Going online without ExpressVPN is like not having a case for your phone, and it only costs a few dollars a month. Nicole, Robbie, and I travel a lot for our work, and we spend a lot of time in hotels, coffee shops, airplanes, and of course the Delta Sky Club. Connecting to the Wi-Fi in any public places with shared Wi-Fi puts your data at risk because bad actors could be intercepting what you send and using it to steal from you. It only takes some cheap hardware to intercept Wi-Fi data, and even a smart preteen can do it. Hackers can make up to $1,000 per victim selling personal information on the dark web. ExpressVPN stops the bad guys by creating a secure, encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet. ExpressVPN uses state-of-the-art encryption that would take a supercomputer up to 1 billion years to crack. I have ExpressVPN on all my devices, including a MacBook Pro, Windows laptops and desktops, and Android and iOS phones and laptops, or tablets. When I want to be secure, I just launch the app, click once to connect, and my data is secure. As I said, I travel a lot for my work, and I have to connect to countless public Wi-Fi networks in many countries. I have ExpressVPN on all my connected devices so that whoever else is on the same network can't see any of my data. That's important because I often have to check banks, credit card accounts, and transmit client data that might be sensitive, as well as filing articles on news that might be under embargo. ExpressVPN protects all of it, and I've been paying for my own account for years. Secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/wheelbearings. That's expressvpn.com/wheelbearings, and you can get an extra 4 months for free. expressvpn.com/wheelbearings.
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care.
Did you know you can support Wheel Bearings directly? Head to patreon.com/wheelbearingsmedia and you can become a patron today. Your contributions will help fund the platforms and tools we use to bring the podcast to you. And exclusives and improvements are already on the way thanks to your generosity. So if you want to be part of an automotive podcast like no other, head to patreon.com/wheelbearingsmedia. We've updated the Wheel Bearings merch store, and now there's a whole bunch of new choices, new colors, new styles, t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, hats, mugs, travel mugs, stickers, aprons, tote bags, you name it. You can get your Wheel Bearings merch at shop.wheelbearings.media. Go check it out. That's shop.wheelbearings.media. Okay. I had the 2024 Toyota Tacoma TRD Off-Road, which is not to be confused with the TRD Pro, which has the really fancy suspended seat and everything. This is sort of the entry off-road variant, sort of entry. I guess the pre-runner would actually be more the entry off-road version. And the one I had is one that you cannot have, you cannot buy. You cannot actually order one just like the one I had, because the one I had was still a pre-production model. It was probably one of the ones that was used for the drive program. So not all of the parts were final production parts. Things like some of the trim pieces on the inside, plastic pieces, were still very smooth, shiny plastic. They were not grained. So these were clearly still, prototype or validation parts, just to work out the assembly process, but they weren't off the final finished tooling. So not going to judge the fit and finish of the interior. I mean, the fit was good. The finish in some places was, questionable. But again, these are pre-production parts. But the thing that really distinguishes the one I had from one that you can actually order is the color. I had a TRD Off-Road in Solar Octane, which is this awesome orange color.
I love even the name Solar Octane.
But if you go to toyota.com and you try to configure a TRD Off-Road, you will not see Solar Octane listed as one of the options for that trim level. It's only available on the TRD pre-runner. So
weird. So you literally have a unicorn. You don't exist.
Yes. Well, it exists. It's just not something you can buy. So anyway,
but not for you.
Yeah. So the TRD Off-Road is what I had, and it's because the Tacoma is far and away the best-selling mid-size pickup on the market in North America, and it sells more, probably twice as much as the next best-selling trucks. They think last year they sold about 230,000 Tacomas, which is, I think if you look at Chevy Colorado and Canyon, they're somewhere around 120,000. In their good years, the Ranger was somewhere around 110, 120,000. Nobody's even close to Tacoma in sales. And because they sell so many Tacomas, one of the things we didn't see this year with the transition to this all new Tacoma, because the Tacoma had been around in its previous form for quite a while. One of the things we didn't see is a reduction in the number of configurations. When you look at the new Ranger, the Colorado Canyon, some of the others, they dropped things like the extended cab or different bed lengths, or different engines, and even manual transmission options. That's not the case with the Tacoma. So you can still get Tacomas in like an extended cab version. You can get it in what Toyota calls their double cab or a crew cab, with either a 5-foot bed or a 6-foot bed. The one I had the 5-foot bed. You can get a Tacoma and all the Tacomas now have a 2.4 liter turbo 4-cylinder. You can get it with an 8-speed automatic transmission. And on most of the trims, also you have the option of a 6-speed manual. And coming in a couple of months' time is a hybrid version, the iForce Max, as Toyota calls it for their trucks. And that's even more powerful. So for what I will say right off the top, this Tacoma, the last time I drove a Tacoma, it was also a TRD Off-Road. And interestingly enough, it was also in orange. I don't know if it was Solar Octane, but it was an orange, a shade of orange. This is a way, way better truck than that one that I drove probably 4 or 5 years ago. I like this one so much more, because the last time I drove a Tacoma, the suspension was kind of soft and floppy, and going over bumps and going around corners, you feel everything moving around. And the way the previous generation Tacoma was set up, the seats kind of felt like they were on the floor. And so you have that legs straight out seating position, which is kind of weird in a truck. I don't mind it in my Miata, not so much in a truck. This one, it's a little more upright, a little more what you expect in a truck, especially if you're going to go off-road at all with it. It's definitely got a better feeling to it. The interior, aside from some of the pre-production parts that were still on this particular one that I was driving, much nicer layout. This one, the one that I had was pretty much loaded up for a TRD off-road. You can actually get more expensive variants. So I mean, there's the limited, which the TRD off-road starts at $41,800. The limited starts at $52,100. And then coming soon, after they launch the hybrid, will be the TRD Pro. I don't know if they've announced pricing for that yet, but I'm guessing it's probably going to start somewhere in the mid 50s and go up significantly from there. The one that I had, even though it starts at $42,000, it had the TRD Off-Road Premium package, which gives you a whole bunch of stuff. They have going through the configurator. There's a lot of different variations you can get of the TRD off-road, and actually many of, especially the off-road ones, but many of the other trims as well. And so there's a bunch of different TRD off-road premium packages that are available. Oh, wait. Okay, I just went back to the configurator again. Apparently now you can get solar octane. So since I started talking, now solar octane has showed up as a color option for the TRD off-road. So ignore what I was just saying about the color.
Now,
good job, Toyota.
Yeah.
Good job.
So they give you the option of picking a lot of a la carte options, or there's a bunch of different bundles. So there's a TRD off-road upgrade package, TRD off-road upgrade package with options, TRD off-road upgrade. It's crazy. Or if you just want everything, just get the TRD off-road premium package with options. I had the premium. Let's see. Okay, so there's actually two that are labeled here as TRD off-road premium package with options. One is $10,030. The other one is $10,090. The only difference between the two is the slightly more expensive one adds mud guards. The one I had did not have mud guards on it, but it does have the 5-foot bed, the Softex trimmed seats, which is Toyota's branding for their vinyl, with heated and ventilated 8-way power adjustable front seats, leather trimmed steering wheel, the 14-inch Toyota multimedia display, so the big center touchscreen, this generation of Toyota infotainment is really quite good, and it has support for wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which I actually miss with the car that's in my driveway right now. Multi-terrain monitor, so a bunch of external cameras, JBL premium audio. It's got the JBL Flex portable speaker, which means it has a Bluetooth speaker that sits in a little pocket in the top center of the dashboard that you can pop out and take outside when you get to your campsite. So you can have a portable Bluetooth speaker with you there.
Kind of fun. That's
wireless Qi charger, dual zone climate, all the usual driver assist features, the towing technology package, including the integrated trailer brake controller, the power open and close tailgate. So on the left rear tail light, in the center, there's a little rubber area there. And there's a switch under that. If you press that and you have the key fob on you, the tailgate will just gently power down. Press it again, tailgate gently powers itself back up. Very nice. Digital key capability. This one also has the front stabilizer disconnect mechanism. So if you're doing your off-roading, you can disconnect the stabilizer bar and get a little more articulation. So over the bigger bumps and rocks and stuff. There's also a couple of skid plates. This one, the the Off-Road doesn't have as many skid plates as what you'll get on the TRD Pro. It also doesn't have, as much ground clearance as you'll get with the TRD Pro, or as big of tires. I think they're 31-inch tires on this. So, it'll handle more aggressive off-roading than what you can do with the Maverick Tremor. Not as aggressive as what you can do with the TRD Pro. And I went bombing around some back roads with it, some dirt roads where we've had some rain and they haven't been regraded yet. So there's some pretty hefty potholes and cavities in there, and it just floats over this stuff. No problem at all. It feels so much better to drive than the last generation Tacoma did on those very same roads. So good, decently comfy seats. I pretty much like almost everything about this truck, with one exception.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
$54,425.
It's got all the things. That's what happens. And you know what?
Yeah.
Toyota people are going to pay that. They'll be more than happy to pay that.
Oh, they're
money.
going to totally do it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the Tacoma has gotten more expensive, but I mean, so have all the competitors. Although, this is in a lot of ways, comparable to something like a Colorado Trail Boss, which you can get. Although, I mean, if you forgo the premium package, you're going to be in the mid 40s anyway, and that's the price of a Trail Boss. So, I guess it's not that much more than the competition, but it can if you're not careful with the options sheet, it can get very expensive on you. And the our pals at TFL, they actually bought one of these about a month ago. They got a very early one. It's like their VIN number is like 319 or something like that. And so they've been doing all kinds of testing with it. They already have a bunch of videos up with it. Earlier this week, they posted a video where they went off-roading not far from their office in Boulder on a trail that they go all the time. And they took the Tacoma and Andre's personal Colorado Trail Boss, and something broke in the four-wheel drive system as Roman was trying to climb up a particular rock. There was a sudden pop. And then the front wheels would not drive anymore.
That's good. That's
so
bad.
It's really bad when you're up on the side of a mountain that's covered with snow and ice, with very little grip. And you're on a relatively narrow trail. I will put a link in the show notes to the video.
Get out of it? Was it crazy?
They got home.
They got home.
Yeah.
They didn't die. Is that what you're telling me? That's all.
They didn't die. They're still alive, or at least they were alive. As of earlier this week. Now who knows?
Who can say now? It's been a few days. It could have gotten into all kinds of trouble.
This was a very early build one that they had. And it's unusual for something like that to have. And this was not a particularly extreme scenario that they were in. Yeah. So I'll be curious to see the follow-up and learn exactly what happened. What did Roman break on their new truck?
What did Roman? But that could be its own set. What did Roman break?
That's a whole show. What did Roman break? It's one of the things that I tell people, and I'm not going to follow my own advice on this, but try not to get the first. Try not to get the first. Try not to get the first
follow
year.
Your advice?
No one should follow whatever I'm saying. Just ignore it. But try not.
Except
don't
for
get the
this.
first year. Don't buy the first year of a car.
It's always
there's always something weird going on with the first year of a car. I'm telling you this, and I'm still going to try like the Dickens to get the ID buzz when it comes out. But if you just maybe wait till the second year. The first year, there's always something.
That's really
maybe even it's a little small, but there's always something that they figure out.
Forget the FOMO. There will still be. Well, in most cases, unless it's like Fisker or something, they will probably still be building that whatever it is you want next year.
Yeah,
and you probably won't have to pay a dealer markup, which a lot of early Tacoma buyers apparently are getting charged pretty substantial dealer markups. So wait a year.
Wait a year. and again, I know we're talking to car enthusiasts, and I am clearly not. I would if it wasn't for the oil pan issue and the fact that the markups were so insane, I would have bought a first year BRZ. of the latest generation, but we found out the markups were insane. 50% of the price is $15,000 markup on a $30,000 car. No, and also the oil pan issue where where you essentially got to take the oil pan off and scrape stains and then put a new gasket on there.
Little details.
But because I'm waiting to the second year or third year, if I decide to sell my current BRZ and buy the latest generation, then most of that stuff will be figured out. See?
Hopefully.
System works. But again, I'm gonna as soon as I'm figuring out how to get that ID bus.
So let me ask you a question, Robbie. If you can't get that first year ID buzz, are you going to try and wait for a first year Apple car?
Well, I think we've been. So I used to work at Mac Life magazine, which used to be Mac Addict, and every year we had someone. This is, oh my God, a really long time, like 2006, 2007. So it's been a while. We would have someone render up the Apple car, and every year the guy who ran the whole tech division, he would write a big old article about the Apple car. And every year it was like, all right, sure. Now, so from the mid 2000s, so for almost 20 years, we've been talking about this mysterious and mythic Apple car.
But no
and
more.
Then it became more and more real as the years have gone on.
And at some point, they got so tired of you guys whining about this. They said, okay, let's just start a project to develop a car.
Project Titan.
And that was about 2014, 15 that they did that.
And then, not so much.
So both of you are Mac users. You're both iPhone users.
I'm not a Mac user.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you use the Surface.
I have an iPhone, but not a Mac.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have like 5 iPhones. I have 2 DJ Macs, 2 DJ MacBook Airs. My personal MacBook Air, that's like the one that I do things with, and then my work computer is a MacBook Pro. So yeah, I'm a Mac. And then of course I worked at Mac Life.
So would given the opportunity, would you consider buying an Apple car if such a thing existed?
No.
I mean, it depends on what it is. I don't need another sports car. That's
Nicole,
the thing.
No.
I don't need another sports car. I like my little sports car that I have. But if it was just a nice car that worked, then yeah, I'd be fine with it. Second year.
I have the iPhone because I feel like for phones it works for me, and I like my little world. And once I bought one many years ago, I know how they work. They only change a little bit from time to time, and that I'm happy with it. I had a MacBook something once upon a time, and I hated it. And let's preface this with every week when we start doing the podcast. My MacBook would literally broke for no reason. I remember it breaking into the screen just cracked. It's just sitting there. I'm like, where did that happen? And it was outrageous to fix. Despite the ins and outs of Microsoft stuff having to reboot and everything, once I get them, they work. They physically, the components of them.
So you had one with a broken screen.
The Mac one with the broken screen, and then
that's all it took to turn you off forever.
It was also
Nicole accidentally dropped her MacBook and forgot about it.
I didn't, and I never found it easy to use. I always found it not.
You realize that what actually happened is that Russ probably sat on it, right?
Rest sat on your MacBook. It's a secret.
I am
He's
not
gonna hear
a
this.
fan of the Mac products. I like my iPhone. I love my iPhone.
So your concern is that the windshield will just crack while you were driving.
I just don't want the I'm putting air quotes. No one can see the simplification that the Mac stuff. I don't like.
Well, it would still be a car.
But it would be my.
And you still use it would just be CarPlay in the car.
Nope. I don't want it. You can't make me. I don't want it.
I'm not making you.
Well,
I'm just
you,
questioning your logic.
Fortunately
I like
for you,
the
Nicole,
logic. Go buy a car is a visceral.
It ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. No one's gonna.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
They're gonna make one though, and they're gonna force you to buy it, and they're gonna take all your other cars away. 2 weeks in.
Raving. No.
after better part of a decade and probably upwards of $10 billion spent. This Bloomberg reported that this week, and a memo was sent around inside of Apple saying, "Yeah, we're shutting down Project Titan. You're all going to go work on generative AI."
Womp womp.
Do you think that were you really surprised? Do you think anybody thought the Apple car was going to happen? Like genuinely?
There's a lot of people who really wanted it to happen.
But
so there's people who want it to happen, and then there's people, and they have a lot of money.
Yeah,
Apple can afford to do this
versus actual happen. What would it, until now we know it's not. What would you have said before this? The percentage succeeding. Are you surprised? I guess
back in February of 2015, when the first reports of Project Titan started to leak out, and what actually where the first public reports actually came out was when a company called A123 Systems, which is a battery company, which is now owned by a Chinese company, sued Apple for poaching a bunch of their employees, including Mujib Ijaz, who I first met him in 2007 when he was at Ford, and he's now the co-founder of Our Next Energy, another battery company. Mujib was one of the people listed in these reports. He was the CTO of A123 at the time, that had been hired away by Apple. And so I reached out to Mujib over LinkedIn. We exchanged 3 or 4 messages, and then he went radio silent for like the next 5 years because he was now working at Apple.
Yeah.
No more communications.
No more.
Until after he left Apple in 2020. And so over the course of 2015, I wrote several articles on my personal blog, and basically I was always extremely skeptical that Apple would ever actually follow through and produce a vehicle, because it does not fit with their business model. Apple likes to only go into market segments where they can make a lot of money. They only produce stuff where they can get like 35-40% profit margins on the products. iPhones, 35-40% profit margins. Macs, same thing. AirPods, Apple TV, all that stuff. They're making huge margins. This is why
piles of cash.
This is why they have a pile of cash the size of Mount Everest.
Yes.
So, the auto industry, at best, most automakers make single-digit profit margins. A very few, like Ferrari, Porsche, get into the low 20% range. Nobody gets into the kind of profit margins that Apple does. Mm-hmm. I think the main reason why they were going down this path is, for Wall Street, for the financial markets, they want to see growth, and revenue growth. And, there's only 8 billion people on the planet. So there's only so many iPhones you can sell. Eventually everybody's got, everybody's got five of them.
Yeah.
So, it's like, I don't really need any more iPhones. So,
well, I'm still rocking the iPhone 11.
Wow, he really has one. He just showed it to us. Look at that.
I have an iPhone 11. So yeah, I have a red iPhone 11, and I'm just now, because the after years of dropping it literally daily, I feel like the last 6 months I've just been dropping this thing nonstop. But like the little ear thing where you can, when you talk on the phone,
the speaker,
the little ear speaker doesn't work very well now. So now everything has to be, I have to use
on
like
the phone though, like a phone.
Well, I'm a reporter and I call people and talk to them.
And I get calls from reporters all the time. So
yeah. What else is it's, and the battery is just trashed now. I mean, it's been a while. So yeah, I'm not exactly like helping Apple out with money.
but Apple likes to control their whole ecosystem. They they don't want people modifying their products. They like stuff with big profit margins, none of which is aligns particularly well with the auto industry. But because cars are very expensive, even by Apple standards, and the volumes are much lower than the number of phones they sell, but the potential revenue growth would be huge for Apple. And so I think that's one of the big reasons they were looking at it, but they just couldn't find a way to make it work with the rest of their business model. I mean, they tried to do, autonomous vehicles. I think what they probably would have wanted to do was have vehicles that they didn't actually have to sell to consumers, just provide it as a very premium mobility service with automated vehicles that come to you when you need a ride. So kind of a robo-taxi service, but for people with a lot more money, and offer it, only in places where they could make it work and have enough of an affluent audience to pay a premium price for it. But they couldn't get that technology working, just as nobody else has really gotten it working. And so they finally just gave up. Yeah.
I mean, they have the money to do this.
Yeah.
They have plenty of money. They could have partnered with Magna to build it. So they could have, there's companies they could have partnered. I mean, they had the opportunity. I just don't. Yeah. Again, the profit margins on cars are just super thin. And I think they were just like, well, you know what? Let's just keep trying. I think it was like one of those things. You're like, I'm just going to keep working on this thing, even though you're never going to finish it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're never going to finish that novel, but you're going to keep banging away.
Well, I mean, now, they've got to do the generative AI stuff, to compete with Google and OpenAI and Meta and Microsoft and everybody else. So, they had to pull those people off there and have them work on, something that will lie to you when you ask it a question.
Finally, something.
So instead of Siri just saying, "I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that," here's a Google link or a web link. Now it'll just make something up for you.
Yeah, or as they call it, hallucinate. No, that's a lie. Your thing's lying to us. Stop coming up with like fancy little. It's hallucinating. Okay, it's not my cousin, that Burning Man. Okay, it's lying to me.
Burning Man. It's a lying liar.
lying machine.
So no Apple car coming.
Oh no. Whatever.
But there is another electric car that's coming this summer.
A bunch of people got some good jobs for a while. A bunch of Porsche people went over there. Oh, yeah. And then
they got to put Apple on their resume and then go work at a real car company.
Yeah. They left a car company with Apple, went back to a car company. Essentially, it was what happened.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. In July of 2021, Stellantis had an EV day, and at that time, they talked about their electrification plans, and Tim Kuniskis, who was then and is still now the CEO of the Dodge brand, said, "We are not going to sell electric cars. We are going to sell American e-muscle."
Mm-hmm.
And
sure, dude.
Said, "Yeah, right, whatever."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then in August of 2022, they showed a concept car that they called the Dodge Charger Daytona SRT, and it had an exhaust system of an electric muscle car, and it called it the Fratsonic chambered exhaust. Well, now it's coming to market. It's going on sale this summer. And I saw the production version of it a couple of days ago at a secret location somewhere in Detroit. And it is almost entirely unchanged from that concept we saw 18 months ago.
Good job, Josh.
Basically, the concept we saw is what they're building.
Wait. Is this still too loud?
It will be too loud. We don't know exactly how loud or exactly what it's going to sound like, because they said they're still fine tuning that, and they didn't want to play that for us just yet. But it will be loud.
There's no. Oh my gosh. Okay, fine. I'm fine. I'm fine with like throwing the fake sounds on the EVs. That's fine. Don't make it so loud that it's actually bad for people.
You can turn it off too.
Yeah, but it shouldn't like default be so loud that people standing next to the car are gonna need earplugs.
Dodge.
It's American e-muscle.
Fine, whatever.
So anyway, the Charger Daytona is coming, And the concept that they showed was a 2-door with a hatchback. Interestingly, it looks like a traditional 3-box design, hood, cabin and trunk, but it's a lift back. But they also said, yeah, we're also going to build a 4-door. And the 4-door, which they showed us, has exactly the same profile. It's the same length. Has the roof sheet metal is common between the 2-door and the 4-door. The only difference is they've moved the door aperture, moved the B pillar up a little bit and added a pair of extra doors, so you have easier access to the rear. And at launch this summer, they're going to have the 2-door only. The 4-door is coming end of the year, early 25. They're going to have two trim levels, the RT, which along with the direct connection stage 1 package on there. So it will have up to 497 horsepower from the 2 motors. And then the Scat Pack, which will have still the same 2 motors, but 670 horsepower.
Scat Pack.
The Scat Pack will go 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds, quarter mile in 11.5, which means that it is actually faster than the previous Charger Hellcat Red Eye, because it's got more torque than
it's an EV.
the Hellcat, and it's an EV with instant torque from 0 RPM, and it's all-wheel drive now because the previous Charger Hellcats were all rear-wheel drive, so you had the traction problem. Now you can put all that torque to the ground through all 4 wheels, and so this thing's going to go like crazy.
Was it a problem though? I mean, if you want to do burnouts, that's literally the car to buy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, now you can do a burnout from all 4 corners.
That's true.
And still drive it in the snow.
And there's also it's got a bunch of different drive modes, like the donut mode and the drift mode, which basically makes it either primarily or all rear wheel drive.
I know donut mode is to do donuts but I really want donut mode. I want to push that, and I just want donuts to arrive at my car.
Or it just shows you like the location of every
donut shop.
All the places that you can hello, local donut shop. Where would you like your donuts delivered, ma'am?
That's the beauty of a software-defined vehicle is you can update that.
I could.
You can have that as an option.
Make that an optional, actually obtain donuts delivered to me mode. Yeah.
Yeah. So the 2-door RT and Scat Pack arrive this summer. Then the 4-door starts production around the end of the year. It goes on sale early in 25. And then sometime in 2025, they will add an as yet unnamed trim level that will have what they refer to as the Banshee powertrain. And that's what was in the concept. So that will have something more than 670 horsepower, which,
number higher.
What?
Yes.
A larger 671.
It'll probably be somewhere between 800 and 1,000 horsepower, I'm guessing.
But it only plays Susie and the Banshees. So yeah. I'm down with that, to be honest. Do you need all the power? No, but I do love me some Susie. So here we go.
One thing I like about the fact they showed us some stuff, because you have the lift back now instead of just a trunk. They had one of the cars that they had on display there had an electric racing cart, go-kart in the back. So you fold down the back seats, had an electric racing cart sitting in the back of it. You could also have for a track day, you can put your 4 track wheels and tires in the back with the seats folded down. You got enough room for that, so you can swap out your track tires and your street tires. When asked about range, Tim Kaniskis said, "Muscle car buyers don't care about fuel economy. Nobody cares about that." So these things are not equipped with some kind of fancy low rolling resistance tires or anything like that. The Scat Pack has. The Scat Pack with the Track Pack has 20-inch wheels with 305 wide front tires and 325s on the rear. Goodyear Eagle F1s, high performance summer tires. This thing still has what they call the R wing in the front. So there's the slot in the the front, where the grill would be, where the grill would normally be between the headlights, and it opens up, and so you've got this kind of wing there, and then it flows the air up over the top of the car to reduce drag and generate some downforce. Got the Fratsonic exhaust. In the interior, same basic interior we saw on the concept. The RT starts with a 10-inch instrument cluster, 12.5-inch center touchscreen. On the Scat Pack, the instrument cluster display grows to 16 inches. Very nice looking displays. What else? No word on pricing. These are going to be built at the Windsor assembly plant, where they also build Pacifica minivans. Is a 100.5 100.5 kilowatt hour battery pack.
That's a lot.
Yes. So the RT is going to be EPA rated at 317 miles of range, which is, given the performance, is pretty reasonable.
That's good.
And even the Scat Pack will have a range of 260 miles, which, again, for something that goes 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds, quarter mile in 11.5, it's not too shabby. This thing's got big fat tires on it.
Good.
So not bad at all. And then also coming at some point in 2025. Oh, one thing I should note, everything I've talked about so far, this is the Charger Daytona. And that all the electric Chargers have that Daytona badge on there. What's also coming in 2025 is the Dodge Charger 6-pack, which does not have a battery electric drivetrain. It will have the 3-liter Hurricane twin turbo inline 6. So the rumors about an internal combustion version of the new Charger were true. And one way you'll be able to tell that one apart from the electric version is, again, no Daytona name on it. And the R-wing is gone, because instead of that, the hood sloping down underneath the wing, the engine's going to be there. So they'll have a 420 horsepower base version of that in the standard output, and 550 horsepower Hurricane for the high output, which is a little more than the power output that they have in the Ram and the Wagoneer.
Scat Pack. My only bummer is peak charging is 183 kilowatts. That's a bummer.
That's on these first versions, because they still have a 400 volt electrical system on there.
They're still using the 400.
The Banshee will have an 800 volt electrical system and will charge faster.
Yeah, that's kind of a bummer. But most of these folks, you're going to charge it at home, and then you're going to go to the on ramp by my house, and then you're going to drive like a maniac and make a lot of noise, because that's all I hear all day. Every day is Chargers driving and down, taking off.
See why you're like, is it going to be too loud? I don't want it to be loud.
Well, also I'm concerned about hearing.
There is a stealth mode, so if you want to sneak out of your neighborhood in the morning,
they'll use it at home,
or come home late
on the road.
You can turn on the stealth mode.
Yeah. So but it looks cool. It's exactly what Charger, what this market wants. Yeah. Something that looks cool, something that goes fast, something you're like, high efficiency wheels, low rolling resistance. That's for chumps. We got a thing that's Scat Pack. It's like a pack of poop from animals in the forest.
It's the name.
Loud.
It's a weird,
loud, fast, and bold.
Loud, fast, bold, and named after poop. Or for scatting. Huge Ella Fitzgerald fans
I literally
over there.
Never thought of it that way, but I like that better, so I'm going to go with it.
Get up, That's
what I want the sound effect to be when you hit the gas.
You turn on, vroom, vroom. Get up, boom.
Yeah.
There you go. That's free, Dodge. Go for it. You can send me, I don't know, $500. I think that's a $500 idea.
That's right.
So we'll be driving. Looking forward to driving the new Charger Daytona, probably late this summer, probably sometime later August or September timeframe.
So here's a question: do we think the Charger or the ID Buzz will be available for us to drive first?
Charger.
Wow.
Mhm.
Just
I'm guessing it's going to be the Charger.
yeah.
That would be my
I've
guess.
driven the short wheelbase ID Bud. It's a vehicle they're actually building.
Yeah,
Just
I know.
gotta throw some extra. Okay.
They even have self-driving ones running around Austin, Texas.
I know. I think it's the short wheelbase ones they're using.
They are. Yeah, they're using a short wheelbase for that testing.
I know.
Yeah, so that's the Dodge Charger Daytona. What else did Tim say? Yeah, I mean he seems to be real excited about this car. It'll it will initially at least it will not be eligible for the tax credit if you buy one, because at launch for about the first year or so of production, the battery packs are supplied by Samsung SDI, and they will initially be coming from South Korea. LG and Samsung have a joint venture. Actually, they have two joint venture battery plants under construction in Kokomo, Indiana. And the first of those should be coming online roughly middle of next year. And once that comes online, then they'll have the battery packs coming from there, and then it'll be eligible. But for now, if you lease one, they'll do the pass through of the tax credit. So you can get a break on that and get the full tax credit with a lease, but not with a purchase.
Lease.
Yeah.
A few years, you'll be able to get the 800-volt version.
Well, that's supposed to be coming next year.
Yeah. I mean, that's on the Banshee.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want the Daytona 800-volt version.
Yeah.
The regular old, I can afford it one. The Banshee is going to be the regular old, I've sold everything I own to buy the Banshee version.
One thing that somebody asked at the event on Thursday was, Jeep, as previously announced, they're putting in chargers, EV chargers at various trailheads around the country where Jeep owners like to go off-roading. And so Tim was asked, is Dodge going to put in chargers at tracks, at drag strips and road courses? And he said, hadn't even really thought about that, but that's a hell of a good idea.
Damn right. It's a hell of a good idea.
Yeah. And
make it happen. Make it so.
Well, one of the things they have in the infotainment system is the so-called race prep mode. So you can go in there and precondition the battery. So if you're a drag strip and you're going to be drag racing, it will actually pre-warm the battery to get it to the optimal temperature, so you get maximum power out of the battery. And if you set it for racetrack, then what it actually does is cool down the battery initially, because the battery will warm itself up once you're out on the track. So they want to cool it down a little bit, so you have longer endurance on a track day. But yeah, they should definitely put some DC fast chargers, especially at drag strips. I mean,
oh yeah,
people are going to take these things to drag strips and have all kinds of fun with them. So yeah, no, I like the way it looks. It's actually quite a bit larger than the current Charger or the previous Charger. It's 8 inches longer.
It's a big car.
Yeah, it is. It doesn't look as big as it is, but it's large. And it's also very heavy. It's like,
well, it's got 100 kilowatt hour battery.
Yeah, it's like 5,800 pounds. Yeah. And
it's a Charger. No one's turning left or right in these things. Yeah. They're just going straight.
Anyway,
you're fine.
It's 1,300 pounds more than a Charger Hellcat, and it still accelerates faster. So
yeah,
but Kuniskis did say that not only is this going to be the quickest Charger ever, but also the fastest. So it'll accelerate faster than any Hellcat Charger, but it'll also be better on the track too. So we'll see.
That'll be interesting to see. It'll be fun to drive.
All right. Let's see. What should we talk about next? So there's a solar eclipse coming up.
Woohoo.
You guys have any plans for the eclipse?
None.
No.
And is it? Like,
I'll forget until like the day before, and then I'll make that little box thing, and then I'll watch it.
thing. I'll make the box thing.
Or if I'm smart, I'll buy the glasses like I did one year.
Unfortunately, I'm going to miss it. I could actually just drive about 40, 50 miles south of where I am and get into the zone of totality, which will be passing through. Actually, it actually cuts across just like the southeast corner of Michigan. But if I drove down into Ohio, I could, get a longer period of totality, except I will be unfortunately somewhere else that day because I have a speaking engagement. So I'm going to miss it.
Well, now I'm going to look at my calendar.
But if you
across the very tip of New Hampshire,
it's April 8th.
Canada.
April 8th. All right, I got nothing going on that day.
If you own a Ford Bronco, and actually at this point it's probably too late, it's probably sold out. But if you own a Ford Bronco, you can get a package for the Bronco Off-Rodeo facility, which is near Austin, which is the first one that they opened. That's
my gosh.
When they did the launch drive for the Bronco a couple of years back, that was where we went to, and we did some off-roading with it there. Ford is offering a package for $1,995 that gets you 2 nights of camping for up to 4 people, 5 meals, and 60 guided Bronco Off-Rodeo trail drive slots to campers on a first come, first served basis. And this is all on includes, the day of the eclipse, and where the Bronco Off-Rodeo facility is. It is right in the middle of the 115 mile wide path of totality for the eclipse. So you'll get about a little over 4 minutes of total eclipse that you can view from there.
That's really cool. I mean, that'd be fun if you're a Bronco owner and you just were free and could have why the heck not? That would be fun. Whoever goes to that, it's going to be a fun crew. Hey, honey, let's go to the Bronco Off-Rodeo and watch the eclipse. That's going to be people who are just let's have a good time.
4 people, $500 each, and then you get food, 5 meals,
camping,
camping.
Fun.
If you're one dude who's doing it for $2,000, that's sad. But if you got 3 friends,
hey, if you got a Bronco and a couple of grand, I'm sure you can find 3 friends.
You got a place, you get to see the eclipse. Yeah, first time when I said that was my original. Oh my God, I saw the price. But now all right, if you,
it's actually not a bad deal.
Not crazy. Yeah. It's not
2
cheap,
nights, 2-night camping experience,
mm-hmm.
and 5 meals. So it's not cheap.
So it's your food and it's your camping and it's the driving off road, all the stuff, and then you get to see the eclipse, which will be fun. So it's like I said, it's not cheap, but it's not.
It's not cheap, but it's not crazy. Like a hotel room's like a cheap hotel room that you'll probably get murdered in is $100 a night.
Right.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's $200 per person.
Probably won't get.
Or if you don't get murdered, you'll get eaten alive by the bed bugs. So
one of the other.
Oh yeah, you'll get the bed bugs, and you get to bring those home, which is a bonus.
Yeah, and infest the rest of your home. So it's the adventure that lives on.
Yeah, it's the adventure that never stops.
Okay. Well, let's stick with Ford for a couple more minutes. Do you remember the Ford Supervan? I think we talked about it when they the latest generation Supervan that they launched last year. They've been doing a bunch of stuff with it. They took it to the Pikes Peak Hill Climb last year, and a couple of weeks ago they took it down to Australia, the latest version of it, down to Australia to Mount Panorama, where they run the Bathurst 12 hours race. And after the race, they put Romain Dumas, who is an amazing race car driver. He, back in 2017 or 18, I think, he took the VW IDR race car that they built, an electric race car, and set an all-time record going up Pikes Peak with it, and set records at various other places. Well, Ford hired him to drive this electric van, sort of a van. It's kind of van shaped, not really a van, but it's van shaped thing.
roughly van shaped. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Vanish.
he
Vanish.
he drove it around the Mount Panorama track, which is about a 4-mile track, which I've driven countless times in Gran Turismo and real racing, and set a new record. And this was like 3 days after another driver took a Mercedes AMG GT3 race car that they had made unrestricted, that because it wasn't running in a proper race, they took off the power limitations and weight limitations and everything else. And it was Jules Gounon took that one around Mount Panorama, set a record with it. Dumas took it and immediately broke that record with this electric Supervan. And he hit top speed of 320 or 300 kilometers an hour. So that's about 180 miles an hour on the straight. Just blew away. It was a 1 minute 56.28 seconds for this 2,000 horsepower electric van.
It's crazy. It's a van.
Yeah.
It's not really a van unless it's filled with like random things in the back. That's all I'm gonna say. Children,
this is filled with random electronics and motors and batteries. Yeah.
There should be a kid in the back, like with Cheerios. Is all I'm saying.
Or
should
dog.
or Cheerios ground into the carpet, or a dog, or like a mountain bike, mud from a mountain bike, something, vanish.
Yeah.
I like saying vanish.
One last Ford related item is this week on February 29th, Ford finally made Ford and Tesla finally opened up access to Tesla superchargers for Ford EVs. So Lightning, Mach-E, and E-Transit can now charge at superchargers. And Ford also opened up the ordering page for your free NACS to CCS adapter for Ford owners. So if you have a Lightning, Mach-E, or E-Transit, you can go to ford.com/fast charging adapter, and you can order your complimentary adapter. So you get one for every VIN number. So, if you have one vehicle, you can only get one for free. Extras are $230. And if you want your free one, you got to order it before June 30th. From July 1st onwards, you'll have to pay $230 for the adapter. Lightnings and Mach-E's are, if they haven't already, they will shortly be getting an OTA software update that adds the superchargers to the Blue Oval Charge Network map in the car. And Tesla also pushed out an update to the superchargers to enable plug-in charge. So with the updates on the charger and on the vehicle and your adapter, you can now drive your Ford EV up to a supercharger, plug it in, and it should, within about 15 to 20 seconds, just start charging without having to do anything else.
Ta-da!
Yeah. And you do have to plug in the adapter. So you plug the adapter on, you take the cable off the charger, put your adapter on it, stick it in the car, then it'll start charging.
Yep. Plug it into the Tesla thing first, then into your car. That's
the sequence. If you do it the other way around, if you plug the adapter into the car first and then plug in the cable, it won't work. So you have to
universe implodes. So don't do that.
Universe implodes. That's the end of all of us.
That's the end of all of us. So please think about the rest of us when you're plugging your stuff in. Plug it into the Tesla cord, then into your car.
Yeah. So that is the Ford J3400 adapter available now. Well, available to order now. They'll be shipping later in March, so they'll start shipping them out in a few weeks. And so if you've got a Ford EV, go ahead and order one.
Boom. Then you get to
Get
charge
while
at
you
the
can.
Tesla events, and then you got to figure out how to charge your F-150 in those teeny tiny little cables.
Yeah. Well, there is that problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the supercharger cables are pretty short. So, you know, and where the charge ports are on the Fords on the left front fender, you end up having to park in the wrong slot, and ended up basically taking up 2 slots
Be able to do it.
in order to fit. But it is doable. Some supercharger stations do have some of the
Pass-through.
chargers set up, for pass through or with the chargers on the side. Like my local my nearest supercharger station here, about 5 minutes away from me, has one of its 12 chargers set up so that you could pull up beside the charger. And so I'm waiting for Ford. Hopefully later this week, Ford will send me over a Lightning or a Mach-E and an adapter so I can go try it out. But that supercharger station also just got Magic Docks installed a couple of weeks ago. And so if you have a supercharger with a Magic Dock, you don't have to use the adapter because the adapter is already built in there. And
Already there.
Plug-in charge will also work with those.
Yeah, I have some. It turns out there's some Magic Docks in my area, but they only work with like the Fords right now. Because you said, I have 1 mile from my house. I'm like, oh, cool. So I look online. It's like, oh, we have a CCS. You can bring your CCS car here, but only if it's accepted by the Supercharger network. And I'm like, and if I open the app, it's like, no, you can't go to those.
Well,
so on the site, it tells me they're there, but on the app, it's like, yeah, you can't do that with your little Hyundai.
The one here, I think does work with other vehicles. It just doesn't have plug-in charge, so you have to use the app to activate.
Yeah, which I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
which
And I've got a Genesis G80 EV in the driveway right now, and I'm actually going to go over and try that later on this afternoon.
Cool.
And see if it actually works and see how fast it'll charge.
There you go.
I have a little thing I did this week.
What's that?
I went to the fancy EA Electrify America flagship station in San Francisco. The indoor one. And you know what?
Did any of the chargers actually work?
They all worked. No one had to move. Everything worked exactly like it was supposed to. Everything is 350 kilowatts. The little lounge area, there were 2 little lounge areas. They were very comfortable.
They have Wi-Fi and stuff?
They had free Wi-Fi. They had a vending machine. And really, I think what the thing needs is like during the day is a little coffee bar. Because it's San Francisco. Come on.
Yeah.
Give us a coffee bar. But there's people there. They're there 24 hours a day. You can see some. Yeah, no, it's like all the things that charging stations should be as we move forward, is what this is. And it's Iona is like they're talking about how they're going to have essentially this sort of setup. And Tesla has a couple places like this, like Kettleman City between San Francisco and LA has this sort of thing where they have like a little lounge you can go inside. And I've gone there a few times with Teslas. But yeah, no one had to move. No one moved. No one had to switch chargers. You just plugged in and it just happened.
That's amazing.
And the person was like directing traffic, and because there's 20 stations and they're all working, they're all 350, and it was a nice little cadence of people coming and going.
EA just has to fix their other 800 stations, and we're good.
Little details, but no, it was great. So if you live in or you're driving through San Francisco, this is the place to go. I tried a cold Dunkin' Donuts mocha drink thing. Gross. Disgusting.
Get the Kings thing that they were advertising after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Oh,
I didn't see the Super Bowl.
It was I only saw the ad, and because I'm in New England and I think Dunkin' Donuts is a way of life, they had these fancy. Ben Affleck was there and Matt Damon were part of the commercial in these ridiculous outfits, and they came up with their own coffees, and one of them's a iced coffee that has, I don't even know what's in it, but it's the Dun Kings is what they're calling themselves. And he has a straw or a stick sticking out of it. And there's like 3 munchkins stuck onto it. So I don't know. It's like half coffee, half dessert. Apparently you can really buy
Is that like a Timbit?
Kind of like a Timbit. Munchkins are like Timbits. Yes. Okay. So you have the little munchkin stuck in it, and he's in this bright orange, ridiculous outfit that apparently you could also buy. And there was an auction, and it was actually a pretty funny commercial, but yeah, they're the Dun Kings.
Dun Kings.
Yeah, and you could literally order the coffees that they mentioned in their little ads. So.
Okay.
There you go. So you could do that. So I'm sure that's probably better than their little like bottle drink that I had that made me like.
Very possibly.
It was not good, but the rest of the experience was really good. So so we're getting there. We're getting there. It's put 350 kilowatt chargers everywhere for DC fast charging. Put more level 2s out there for people just parking and going into walking around retail areas, and we'll and make sure they all work.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's a special. That's the really important part, because it doesn't matter if you put chargers there that are non-functional. They actually have to work.
One of the big things about me taking my job at SAE was that we help with training, but we do certification for charging station technicians.
Oh, that's cool.
And we're working with Charger Help. They're a company out of LA, and they have technicians. They go out and fix these things, which we don't have enough of. I know ChargePoint has its own sort of training thing that they're coming up with. So between us and Charger Help and ChargePoint and other companies, we're training hopefully an army of people who will fix these things, as opposed to they just sit there for weeks at a time. Yeah. And every time we pull up, we're like, yeah, that one's still broke.
Mm.
All right. So Honda announced a new plug-in hybrid, sort of, this week.
It is. It's not sort of.
It is a plug-in hybrid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just different.
Yeah. It's a CRV. It's called the CRV EFCEV.
You're speaking in code. The CRV EFCV. What?
EFCEV.
So
it doesn't need that second. It doesn't need that little E though. It could be the CRV FCEV. It doesn't need that little E.
The extra little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So FCEV, for those not familiar, stands for fuel cell electric vehicle. And you're right. The first E doesn't really make sense, because
by saying ATM machine.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Yep.
You don't need an fuel cell electric vehicle. But this is a CRV, the modified version of the CRV that they are building in the plant that used to make the NSX in Ohio. Honda this is the fourth generation of fuel cell vehicle that Honda has made available to the American public, or at least some members of the public in California. So it's a hydrogen fuel cell vehicle, but it also has a big battery that you can plug in and charge. It is a 17.7 kilowatt hour battery pack that by itself will give you about 29 miles of driving range. And then instead of an internal combustion engine driving a generator to replenish the battery pack or to keep the vehicle going, it has a fuel cell stack, and this is the one that they jointly developed with General Motors. The GM, instead of putting into regular vehicles, is putting into trucks and planes and locomotives and stuff like that. When the battery gets depleted, the fuel cell stack produces electricity by combining hydrogen and oxygen to make water and a flow of electrons to keep the battery going for up to 270 miles. So now you can, if you're in California and you can't find one of the 52 hydrogen stations, or find a hydrogen station that is open or working.
It's 55 now. Ooh.
Oh, did it go back up again? Because it was 52 when I looked earlier this week.
I'm looking at the PDF. Oh, you know what? This is from February. This is right. Yeah, 55. There's 55 and 18 are in permitting.
Ooh.
But they're all in California, it looks like.
Yeah. So yeah, you'll only be able to get this CRV in California. And at least for most people's daily driving, if you plug it in every night, you'll be able to drive it around on electricity, from the grid without having to use the hydrogen, which can be handy. And then just use the hydrogen for longer trips. What do you guys think?
Okay, as the only person who could actually have this vehicle,
can't drive. Tell me.
I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. Okay, so here's the deal. I would, if they had a really great lease deal, I'm talking under $200, and I didn't have to pay for fuel, I'd totally get this. Because around where I live, It's all the things. It's it's an EV. If it's not an EV, it's an EV still making water. Um, it would replace like essentially our Kona for the dogs.
Yeah.
It'd be the dog car,
I mean,
and it'd be the dog and errand car. But
I'm
of
not
course,
anti
it
it.
only makes sense where I live. It's only a Robbie car. The
Yeah.
rest of y'all, I don't know what to tell you.
We're SOL.
You're SOL. I'm gonna go drive this car in some point. In March? Yeah, that's this month. So yeah, I'll have a better sort of jam on it.
Better
The CRV's a great, CRV's a great car. Honda makes good cars. There's no pricing. I have no idea how much it's going to cost. You can only lease it. So because of course
you wouldn't want to actually buy this thing.
yeah, you definitely would only want to lease it anyway. It's I still think that hydrogen is great for long haul trucking, and it's going to be, I don't know, a very long time before it makes sense for passenger vehicles, unless you live at my house.
Yeah.
Because I could charge it at night. We do the 20 miles a day. Once a week, we go to the Emeryville, like right next to the bus station. We put some gas or some fuel in it. Not even once a week. Once every few weeks, we go and do that. And then we just carry on with our day.
Yeah, I actually first drove a vehicle with this kind of configuration back in 2007. Ford was working on this. They had built the Ford High Series Drive Edge concept, which was basically the same thing. It was a fuel cell plug-in hybrid. Had a battery that would go about 50 miles on a charge, and then the fuel cell was a range extender. And that project was led by the Mujiba Jazz, the guy I mentioned earlier. And that's when I first met him, when I went to drive this thing. And that Ford had planned to build a fleet of at least 100 of these for real world testing. But then in 2008, as the financial situation got worse and worse, they canceled the project. This is not a new idea, but this will be the first one that will be at least nominally available to some members of the public if you live in California.
A few people.
Yeah.
And
A few
certainly-
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't. You guys should not get this car. Well, you
Well,
can't.
I literally can't.
But I could.
Car.
I could. I think it's interesting. It's you just kind of keep plugging along. Everyone just keeps plugging along with hydrogen because they know at some point it makes sense for some people. But
I would get
Yeah.
it if I could. I would not.
Yeah.
I would be fine with getting that.
yeah, you're like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I can do this.
I'd do it.
It's 270 miles. All right.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
if there was at least one hydrogen station around, anywhere within 20 miles of me, I would definitely consider getting it.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, okay. Do you think this is like, let's say, okay, so let's look 10, 15 years in the future. Hydrogen infrastructure has been built out for long haul trucking, which means that you have, stations along major corridors. So because of those stations, now automakers, you can sell more hydrogen vehicles for, trucks, a large F-150, as a hydrogen vehicle makes total sense. So if you live so now you're going to have like a little spider web effect. Things are sort of creeping out. You're going to have more stations along outside of the interstates. So hydrogen becomes a thing. Do you think we're going to see more plug-in hybrid hydrogen vehicles where you plug in, it's a RAV4. You get your RAV4, you plug it in at night, you get 40, or hopefully at that point, 60 miles of range. You go around town, whatever. And then once every few weeks, you're like, oh, I need to get some fuel. And you go and you hit up the hydrogen station at the Flying J. You think that's a thing?
15 years from now, maybe.
Yeah.
That's
All
a
right.
possibility.
All right. That's just, at that point, we'll probably have, I don't know why I'm saying this.
And
We'll
by
have
that time,
solid
we'll have
state
enough
for reals.
We'll have enough
solid state at
chargers
that-
and batteries that go far enough.
Doesn't really make sense,
Yeah.
because you have to transport this. A lot of people don't think about the fact that like gas doesn't show up, isn't just there at your gas station. Like they have to pull it out of the ground, and then they got to ship it to a refinery, and then the refinery does their magic and their fire and stuff, and then they ship it from there to like a station, then they ship it from there to big trucks, and then those big trucks go to the gas station, then they shove a big, they fill the hole full of gas, and that's how you get gasoline for your car. Meanwhile, I need electricity for my car. Oh, the infrastructure is already pretty much there. I just plug it in and there you go.
Well, even with hydrogen, you can, the thing is,
you can make it at the place. Yeah.
You can make it on site and do it even from renewables. You could have a solar array or a couple of wind turbines. All you need is a source of water to, and then, renewable electricity, and you can crack the water to produce hydrogen and oxygen, which also is good. And then just put the hydrogen in some tanks and compress it and stick it in the vehicles. But
I wonder if the energy, how much energy you're using to build hydrogen in order to fuel a vehicle, is less than the amount of energy than it would be just to put the electricity directly into an EV.
At the usage level, yes, it's going to take more. There's obviously some losses in there. So, if you were producing hydrogen on site and using that to to fuel the vehicles, that's not going to be as efficient as just taking the electricity to charge the vehicle. On the other hand, though, it takes longer to charge the battery. It takes a lot more energy to actually manufacture that battery. So if you factor in the energy it takes to manufacture batteries and to extract the materials to manufacture those batteries and all the other stuff that goes along with that, for smaller vehicles, it probably doesn't make sense.
So we're just back to trucking.
For larger vehicles, like the type Americans like to drive, it makes a lot of sense. And you can refuel a fuel cell vehicle in about 5 minutes, about the same amount of time it takes to fuel a gasoline vehicle. So you can do it a lot faster than you can charge a battery electric vehicle.
Currently, it's just we keep getting quicker at that. But so maybe we're just going to keep doing long haul trucking for hydrogen.
Yeah, it's probably going to be for larger vehicles only.
Yeah. Well, there we go. That was our math problem for today.
Okay. No, that was too much math problem for me. I need more.
That's enough.
All right, let's go back to battery EVs. VW ID4 getting some upgrades for 2024 model year. It's the versions with the larger 82 kilowatt hour battery get a new infotainment system, slightly larger 12.9 inch screen.
Nice.
And the best part is the sliders for the controls, which really should be physical controls. They should not be touch sliders, but we'll let that go for the moment.
That's a different battle.
They at least now they're backlit.
I mean, okay.
It was so weird when it wasn't backlit. I'm pulling up to my house or I'm doing something. I'm like, how come the stereo is not getting louder, but the car is getting warmer? Oh, that's why.
Getting hot, but it's not getting musical. What's happening?
Yeah.
So I mean that's the major change. They also resourced some components in the batteries, so the model year 24 ID4s are eligible for the $7,500 tax credit because the vehicles are assembled in Tennessee and the batteries come from a factory in Georgia. So you can get $7,500 off your ID4. Let's see. Oh, I think they added a little more power now. So on the larger battery size, so they still have the 62 kilowatt hour battery is the base model. The 82 gets a bump up to 282 horsepower and 402 pounds-feet of torque, which is a little more, about 80 more than it had previously.
There you go.
And I'm happy with it. I mean, nice little changes. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
They're making it from people who've driven it. They seem they say like, oh, this is so much better than the first gen. So
right.
This little refresh that they've done. So good job. Good on Volkswagen.
Go Volkswagen.
Every little bit helps.
Every little bit helps. Plus full tax credit. That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Really big.
You don't have to lease it if you want to actually buy it. You can just get the monies.
Mm-hmm. You can get the money. Take the money and run.
All right. This week, Fisker had their Q4 earnings call. It was not good. As we've suspected, we've talked about previously. the probability that Fisker would not be able to see out the rest of 2024 with the funds they had on hand. They made it official in their Q4 earnings. They said they added in the going concern statement, which means that there's a probability that we will run out of money before the end of this year.
That's not good.
Yeah. And then the following day comes a report from Reuters that Nissan is talking to Fisker about potentially investing and partnering with Fisker.
The Nissan EV platform is nice. I like the E-Force Aria a lot. I don't know what they're getting. What are they getting from Fisker? There must be something that Fisker has that Nissan's like,
Wasn't there talk about the truck? The truck.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like a truck
Atlas
thing.
pickup truck.
The Alaska.
Because
Alaska, right?
Alaska, yes.
Okay.
Alaska pickup.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, when I talked to Henrik at CES in January, he acknowledged that they needed to find a partner to work with to build that vehicle, because it wouldn't make sense for them to build it in Austria, where even though it uses the same hardware as the Ocean SUV, it wouldn't make sense to build it in Austria, because the main market for it is in the US, and they if they built it in Austria, they would get the 25% chicken tax, so it wouldn't be cost effective. But Nissan, on the other hand, wants an electric pickup truck. They are ending production of the Titan full-size trucks in Tennessee or in Mississippi. And Fisker's got an electric pickup design. Nissan
ready to go.
One. It's perfect. What could go wrong?
Let's make this happen. I just want a small electric truck. But I also want a key van. So, I want a lot of things.
There's a lot of things you want, Robbie.
I want the ID Buzz. I want a key van. I want the mini electric convertible. I want, What I'm saying is I need 3 more jobs.
Yeah.
To get all the things.
Plus I want to trade in my BRZ for the newest version of BRZ.
I don't know. It seems weird. I don't know. I look at him like, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Is this going to destroy everybody? Like, I don't think it's going to destroy you.
It's going to destroy everyone.
The end of everything.
Is this the end?
I get that there's real reasons to do this from Nissan's point of view, and from, I guess, also from Fisker, because otherwise it's gone. But is it gonna come up with good stuff? Is it gonna be good? Is it gonna be good?
I think after decade and change of Nissan just sort of being like they're
kind of chugging
like
along.
Every time I get into a Nissan, I'm like, oh, this is good job. You're almost there. Like, you're not quite on par with like the rest of the market, but you've clearly made some advancements. You're clearly doing the good work. I still think the Nissan Kicks is the best car that they make. It's inexpensive and it drives really well, and but I think they're going in the right direction. And the small truck market was for some reason, automakers are surprised that people want to buy the Maverick.
I can't imagine why they would actually be shocked.
Yeah, I don't because you get the high yield, you get the high profits from the F-150, and there's tax reasons why people buy, for some people to buy big trucks, and it's a lot to unpack why large trucks sell so well. But I think there's a lot of people I just want a truck that can throw some things in sometimes, and me and my friends can go somewhere, and I don't need something the size of my first studio apartment.
So, back in 2021, Nissan showed a concept called the Surf Out, which was a compact electric pickup truck.
Mm-hmm.
I think, they would love to build this, but, justifying it would be tough. But if they do this deal with Fisker, which Reuters is reporting the deal could close this month, my guess is that what'll happen, if they build this in either Tennessee at the Smyrna assembly plant or in Canton, Mississippi, that instead of using the existing Ocean components,
Mm-hmm.
they will probably switch over to using components from the Aria.
Yeah.
And use that platform, and just have, Fisker's body design on the Fisker branded version, and then do a Nissan branded version with a design something like the Surf Out concept.
Surf Out. When I went to that GM factory, that GM design studio, I don't know, a year and a half ago, and they showed me like their little concept EV truck. Where is that truck? I want a teeny tiny truck. That thing was awesome.
Apparently been canceled.
Where is that truck? Okay.
Where is that truck? Gimme.
What that truck?
Gimme. They showed us a lot of stuff, and then they teased some sort of smaller, what do you call that thing? Hummer. And gimme. Come on.
Yeah.
Gimme.
Get with it. Get with the program, guys.
So maybe we'll get the Surf Out, based on a Fisker.
You think it'll still be called the Surf Out? Probably not.
You never know. Possibly.
It could.
Let's call it the Brat. So we're like, what the hell, man? Yeah, you let them know. You let the name fall into the public domain, buddy.
Yeah. The trademark expired. We snapped it up. All right. Finally, the last thing for this week is Robbie, have you done any drone video?
No, I think I need to get a drone. It's funny because I did a lot of video when I was at Engadget, and anytime we could do drone shots, people lost their minds because it just looks cooler than just like, hey, here's me standing in front of a car, and then I drive by and maybe it's a car-to-car shot or whatever. But when you add the drone to it, people just go nuts.
Right.
Well, trying to do drone shots with Formula One cars can be problematic because F1 cars they're pretty quick. And drones,
to say the least.
Yeah. Drones generally are not quite as quick. But the Red Bull team partnered up with some guys in the Netherlands who build some crazy drones, and they developed what they're claiming is the world's fastest camera drone. And this thing will apparently go 350 kilometers per hour, which is about 220 miles an hour. And I'll include the YouTube video in the show notes. You can see this as they developed the first prototypes of the drone and did a drag race between the drone and an older Red Bull F1 car. And then it ends up with this drone following Max Verstappen driving this year's Red Bull F1 car on a lap around Silverstone. And the thing, one of the things about watching racing on TV, watching racing, video of racing, is you don't really get the sensation of speed very well. But from watching the video from this drone, you really get the sensation of speed, as this thing is tracking, just above and behind the F1 car, and flying, past the stuff on the side of the track and the bridge, and zipping, past this bridge over the track. It's pretty wild.
It's so there's one of the things I learned early on when shooting video is that in car, or even shooting me driving down the road, between 2 miles an hour or 20 miles an hour and 80 miles an hour, it looks exactly the same on video.
Yes.
So there's no point. Like I don't drive fast when I'm doing these videos. People think, oh, he must be driving like a maniac. There's no point. It doesn't matter. It just makes it harder for the camera person on the side of the road trying to whip around when it still doesn't look fast.
Right. I remember doing B-roll stuff and they're like, drive by, and just like, no, just drive by kind of slow. And it's like, I'm going zoom when you look at the video. It's like, how is that possible? It's very deceptive.
Yeah, it always looks like you're going too slow.
It's not always representative of what actually happened.
Sometimes the video makes it look much faster than you're actually driving. Although, I am.
Or it makes it look slow.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't. It's like the same speed. It doesn't really matter.
Sense of speed, like you really just don't get the sense of the accurate speed watching something on a video as you do when you're looking at it right in front of you.
And it's also true when you do off-road stuff. Like you could be on a 45-degree angle hill, and it looks like you're in a parking lot. Like
right.
we shot a,
or you could be in the parking lot and just tilt your camera, and it looks like you're on a 45-degree hill.
Yeah, we shot a Jeep, and I was like struggling not to fall over. I had to hold on to it in order to not fall over so I could do my stand up outside the vehicle. And someone was like, "Well, where'd you just took this around like a dirt road?" I'm like, "No, you don't. This is really just look at the trees." No, it doesn't matter.
It really did that. You're right, because I've had off-roading, like had pictures and stuff, and so like, what were you doing? Well, I was doing this, but I looked at my own pictures. I'm like, this looks not impressive at all. But I swear to God, I was hanging in the seatbelt. I was at such an angle.
Well, when we did the Wrangler drive in where was it last year? I can't even remember now.
I can't. Yeah, was it wherever? Yes.
Yeah. Well, when we did the Wrangler drive, we did the off-road portion of it, and I was on a part, and the Jeep slid sideways a little bit, so I was sitting at about a 30-degree angle to the side. I took a photo from the driver's seat, while I was still in the car, looking up the hill at the other Jeep with the winch that was going to help me up before I slid all the way down. And there, you can see the angle between my dashboard and, the other Jeep. And it's like, oh, okay. Now I get the sensation of the angle you were at.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this idea where it could follow it, because I think there's a drone out now that it'll follow you up to like 20 or 30 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people are using that for like car driving shots, and so the car's just driving like 25, and you get a nice shot, and it'll like spin around. But it's definitely not this thing.
Yeah, the only problem with this drone is, because it's going so fast, it drains the battery really fast, so it doesn't have very much endurance. So it can only go for a few minutes at a time at that speed. But the shots look amazing.
If you have an army of them, like if you have 10 of them or 12 of them, and you just like one comes out, the right when one's coming back, you launch the next one, it takes off.
Yeah, and well, the other issue is, they can't at that speed. They can't stream full quality video, live full quality video from it.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So
you'll see it later.
So the pilot, has, is getting a video stream, but it's very low quality, and it's a first person view shot, as he's flying this thing. If they can get it to the point where it's got enough endurance and can transmit live video fast enough at high quality, that would be amazing for watching racing on TV.
Oh yeah, they'll figure it out. There's someone, they're good at making drones. Someone else is good at transmitting high quality stuff.
Yeah,
get those Twitch people on it. They'll figure it out.
All right. Well, that's it for this week. Thank you everybody for listening in, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.